Imagine, if you will, a thriving civilization nestled high in the cliffs of the American Southwest. A society of brilliant architects, skilled astronomers, and master farmers who built cities that touched the sky. For over 1,000 years they flourished, creating a culture as rich and complex as any in the ancient world. Then, in the span of just a few decades, they vanished. This is the story of the ancestral Puebloans, often known as the Anasazi, and their mysterious disappearance is one of America's greatest unsolved puzzles. What happened to them? Where did they go? Today, we're venturing into the heart of the Four Corners region where Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico meet to uncover the secrets of this lost civilization. Let's rewind the clock. The story begins around the year 01 AD. Small, nomadic groups started to settle down, cultivating corn, beans, and squash. This was the beginning of what archaeologists call the basket maker period. These early people are incredibly resourceful, weaving intricate baskets that were so tight they could hold water. They lived in simple pit houses, dwellings dug partially into the ground, offering protection from the harsh desert climate. Life was tough, but they were adapting, innovating, and laying the groundwork for something spectacular. As centuries passed, their society evolved. Around 750 AD, they began building above ground, using stone and mortar. This marked the transition to the Pueblo period. Their architecture became more and more sophisticated. They built massive multi-story structures, what we now call great houses, some containing hundreds of rooms. Think of them as the first apartment complexes in North America. These weren't just homes. They were communities, centers of ceremony, trade, and daily life. Places like Chaco Canyon in New Mexico became bustling cultural hubs. Chaco Canyon was the epicenter of the ancestral Puebloan world between about 850 and 1150 AD. The scale of construction here is just breathtaking. Pueblo Bonito, the largest of the great houses, was a D-shaped marvel of engineering, standing 4 stories tall with over 600 rooms. The builders aligned their structures with the solar and lunar cycles, showing an advanced understanding of astronomy. They constructed a vast network of roads, some stretching for hundreds of miles in perfectly straight lines, connecting Chaco to dozens of outlying communities. This wasn't a random collection of villages. It was a highly organized, interconnected society. What drove them to build on such a monumental scale? Was it a powerful religious elite, a centralized political system, or something else entirely? The truth is, we still don't know for sure. But Chaco's golden age wouldn't last forever. By the mid-1100s, something changed. The people of Chaco Canyon began to disperse, and the cultural center of the Puebloan world shifted north to places like Mesa Verde in Colorado. Here, the story takes another dramatic turn. Instead of building in open canyons, they started constructing their homes in seemingly impossible locations, tucked into massive cliff alcoves, hundreds of feet above the canyon floor. These cliff dwellings, like the famous Cliff Palace and Balcony House at Mesa Verde, are architectural wonders. Imagine hauling timber, stone, and water up sheer cliff faces day after day. It was an incredible feat of human determination. But it begs the question, why? Why move to such inaccessible and defensive locations? The most common theory is conflict. It could have been warfare between different Puebloan groups, or perhaps raids from outside nomadic tribes. Evidence of burned villages and skeletal remains with signs of violence from this period seems to support the idea that life had become more dangerous. They were building fortresses in the rock, seeking safety in the high cliffs. For about a century, from roughly 1200 to 1300 AD, these cliff-dwelling communities thrived. They continued to farm on the mesa tops above, climbing up and down using hand and toe-hold trails carved into the rock. They made beautiful black-on-white pottery, wove cotton textiles, and maintained their ceremonial traditions in underground chambers called kivas. From a distance, it looked like a stable, secure way of life. But beneath the surface, the clock was ticking. And then, it happened. By the year 1300, the great cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde, and indeed almost every ancestral Puebloan site across the Four Corners region, were empty. It was a mass exodus. Tens of thousands of people picked up and left the homes their ancestors had occupied for centuries. They left behind pottery, tools, and even food in their storerooms, as if they intended to return. But they never did. This is the great mystery. Why did they all leave at once? For decades, the leading explanation was a massive drought. Tree ring data has confirmed that a severe 23-year-long drought, known as the Great Drought, struck the region starting in 1276. For a society completely dependent on rainfall for their crops, this would have been catastrophic. Failed harvests would lead to famine, social unrest, and a complete loss of faith in the spiritual leaders who were supposed to ensure the rains came. The drought was undoubtedly a major factor, a powerful push that forced people to seek greener pastures. But as is often the case with history, the answer is rarely that simple. More recent research suggests a combination of factors, a perfect storm of calamities. Along with the drought, there was deforestation and soil erosion from centuries of farming and building. There was escalating violence and social instability, as we saw with the move to the cliff dwellings. Some researchers also point to the emergence of a new, compelling religious ideology that pulled people away, promising a better life elsewhere. It wasn't just one thing. It was everything all at once. The society had become too complex, the population too large for the fragile desert environment to support. And when the climate turned against them, the entire system collapsed. So where did they go? This is the part of the story that often gets lost. The ancestral Puebloans didn't just vanish into thin air. They migrated. They moved south and east towards more reliable water sources like the Rio Grande in New Mexico and the Little Colorado River in Arizona. They regrouped, reformed, and their culture continued to evolve. In fact, their descendants are still here today. The people of the modern Pueblo tribes, such as the Hopi, Zuni, Acamo, and the various Rio Grande Pueblos, are the direct cultural and genetic inheritors of the legacy of Chaco Canyon and Mesa Verde. There, oral histories tell stories of great migrations from a northern homeland. They speak of their ancestors, the very people who built these incredible stone cities. So, in a very real sense, the civilization was never lost at all. It simply transformed and moved. The term Anasazi, which has been used for so long, is actually a Navajo word that is often translated as ancient enemy or ancient stranger. For this reason, many modern Pueblo people find the term offensive. They prefer ancestral Puebloans because it rightfully acknowledges them as the ancestors of living people. It's a small change in language, but it's a powerful one, reconnecting the past with the present. Visiting these ancient sites today is an unforgettable experience. Standing in the silent plaza of Pueblo Bonito or peering out from a balcony at Mesa Verde, you can almost hear the echoes of the past. You can feel the resilience, the ingenuity, and the spirit of a people who carved a civilization out of the rock. Their story is a powerful reminder of the intricate connection between humanity and the environment, and a testament to the ability of culture to adapt, to change, and to endure. They didn't disappear. They simply walked into a new chapter of their story, a story that continues to this day. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into the American Southwest. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into our world's greatest mysteries. Let me know in the comments what other historical puzzles you'd like to explore next. See you in the next video.